Hello, good morning everyone. Welcome to the 9 ICTFootPRINT.eu webinar. ICTFootPRINT.eu, it's a coordinated support of action project funded by the European Commission under the Horizon 2020 program. And today our webinar is called Decreasing ICT Energy Consumption, the Power of Data Centers and People's Will. And we have two speakers, which I'll introduce them later, from Asperitas and START2ACT. ICT, and I will introduce them individually later on. And my case, I'm Rita Menezes from Trust IT Services, and I'll be moderating the webinar. So what's ICTFootPRINT.eu for those who are not fully familiar with us? So we are, as already mentioned, we are a project funded by the European Commission, and we have three partners. The coordinator is Trust IT Services, based in UK, and then we have Deloitte, which is a consultancy company expert on sustainability topic, and they are based in France. And last but not least, Eurocities, a network for European cities, and this organization is based in Belgium. And what's the main purpose of ICTFootPRINT.eu? We are here to help the ICT sector to become green in IT. And how they can do that? By becoming low carbon and also increase energy efficiency levels on their ICT. And this will be possible by increasing awareness on metrics, methodologies, and best practices that are already available, and all players in the ICT sector can use and can based on in order to become more energy efficient and get competitive advantage thanks to this. And so far, ICTFootPRINT started in 2016, and we are able to create a consolidated community of over 4,000 people through our communication activities and engagement activities. For instance, we have an online marketplace where we have together both suppliers, ICT companies, who have green ICT services that will help you become more sustainable in IT. And in that same marketplace, we have buyers who are interested to become green in IT, and they are looking for the sustainable services. And plus, we also have 13 experts from all around Europe and even non-Europeans that have been supporting us and sharing with us technical knowledge, namely related to ICT methodologies developed from standard organization bodies that can help you become green in IT. Plus, we also have a help desk available in 5 languages where you can submit your own questions and doubts regarding becoming energy efficient in IT. Will provide you customized support. And also we have, for those who want to become green in IT, but they don't know exactly what can be done, you can also consult the success stories we have in our website. So far we have 44, and then you can see how your peers got energy savings thanks to implementing green IT procedures in their own organizations. Plus, we also have 2 self-assessment tools. They are called SATO and SATES, where you can use them for free, and you can access and know what is the carbon footprint and energy consumption of ICT from your company in case if you use the SATO, or from an ICT service you provide and use, and in this case you should use the SATES. Plus, we have these webinars, and now you are attending one. We also were very active going to events all around Europe, and we have this map of ICT standards with 20 fact sheets which can be downloaded with a very easy language, and they will explain you easy how you can implement that methodology and how they will support you to become green in IT. So the next slide is just a recap on how we can support you. We have all these services available for free to help you become green in IT. So far, as I mentioned, we are very proud of the community we created. We have over 4,000 members and they have different profiles. We are talking about industry from SMEs and large companies, SDOs, standard development organizations, cities, some policymakers, and even NGOs that joined forces with us, and we are trying to make a difference in European ICT in order to make it more sustainable in IT. Regarding events, I would like to share with you the next event we are organizing. It's a workshop and will take place in Paris. Why we are organizing this workshop? Because by the end of ICT Footprint project, we will we'll actually prepare a report with the policy actions on how policy sector can help the ICT sector become green in IT. So this is a workshop that experts from different backgrounds will join us, and we'll meet together in Paris in order to discuss what the policy sector can do. And I can from this there are two important activities for you. If you like to access this report and to know what we propose, I kindly invite you to subscribe our newsletter by registering our website, so you'll get the report as soon as it is available. The other idea is, if you have any expertise and you like to share your ideas and you believe you can contribute to the discussion, feel free to contact us, and in order to see how we can have you together with us in Paris. Last slide before we start, before I pass the floor to our speaker, I invite you to try the START2ACT tool. This is a tool free and simple to use that will help you calculate the overall carbon footprint of ICT in your organization. You have the link there, and then at the end, after filling in the tool, you will have a customized report to you where you'll be aware what's the carbon footprint levels in your company, and with some tips that will help you what actions you can implement in order to become green in IT. So now I'm gonna pass the floor to our next speaker. His name is Michael Mauritius from Asperitas. He's a marketing manager at Asperitas, which is a clean tech scale-up company based in the Netherlands. And so far, Michael has been leading the Asperitas Energy Innovation, which is a unit for all innovation processes that are related to energy efficiency, sustainability, and energy reuse, with stakeholders like energy companies, co-location data centers, and governments. One info very interesting about Asperitas is that they have been just awarded by Europus and TechCrunch as the European hottest green tech startup of 2018 for their technology called IMMERSED computing solution for green data centers, which Michael will introduce during this presentation. Michael, thank you very much for being with us, and I'm passing you the floor, and you can start your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Rita. Thank you also for the nice introduction. I think I have to wait for you until you give me the presenter rights, right? Am I right?
You might. Yeah, I think the invitation might arrive now. Did you get it?
Yeah, now it should be working.
Lovely. Go ahead, Michael.
Excellent.
Yes.
So thank you for the introduction. Indeed, we're quite excited about the Europass award. It's a great recognition for us. So actually also great to see the initiative you guys are working on, and thanks for inviting us on the webinar. Let me introduce you a little bit on where we're working on with immersed computing, Asperitas, a Dutch clean tech startup. So for us, sustainability and data centers, that's actually part of our core mission. So the topic of sustainability in data centers is a very big topic, also to discuss that during a webinar. But it's a real one, and we need big ambitions as well to change data centers into green data centers worldwide. So our mission is, at least one element of it, is to realize energy producing data centers anywhere where they're needed. So the global challenge is, I think, quite clear. I think that's the the reason as well for your organization, Rita. But just looking at different reports, you see different estimations. But I think one of the more conservative ones is the 4% chunk of the energy footprint actually on the responsibility of data centers and digital infrastructure worldwide. So this is quite significant, and the best thing is it's only increasing at the moment. So if we look at this global challenge and we turn this into local reality, then we see that actually on a global level, the challenge is real and it's there. From Singapore to Iceland and Ireland, green data centers are really difficult to realize. And this is a big topic for different places around the world. So this is exactly where we are with the Spiritus are working on at the moment. Next to this sustainability topic or theme or challenge, which is clear, there are two other challenges, and one of them is technology driven. So there's an increasing urgency and need for advanced cloud services, digital services, compute power, but also there's a challenge on the infrastructure side of power and connectivity related to scalability. So the increasing demand for the cloud services and compute power is increasing rapidly, and we have problems with keeping up on different levels. So those challenges, together with the big sustainability challenge, are basically the drivers for the development of the solutions Spiritus has been working on. And one of them, and the main concept and technology we have launched last year after 2 years of R&D, actually, with the whole ecosystem of partners, including the University of Leeds, but also Vienna Scientific Cluster as one of the end users. We have been launching immersed computing, which is an innovative technology, but also a new way of working for data centers. So you could also call it a concept, but actually it is as well our branded portfolio of solutions we're offering on the market right now. And they're built on 3 pillars: sustainability, flexibility, and efficiency. And you will see later on in the story I will be sharing with you at the moment, actually where you see those pillars coming back into this technology we have launched. Looking at those 3 benefits we offer, so sustainability, efficiency, and flexibility, we do that without any compromise. So also from my background, I've seen a lot of sustainability solutions, very innovative in the past years, actually, but often there's some kind of compromise, and often they bring complexity to what is there already. And we like to bring those 3 benefits related to sustainability without this compromise of complexity. So simplicity is, in our eyes, key in how we develop the solutions and how we work with our customers to realize those green data centers. So let's look at what we do differently. I assume that you guys are aware of data centers and what they do and how they do it. So in general, they use air to chill their systems and their data centers as buildings. So air is the main and standard medium for traditional built data centers to cool their systems. So we changed one element in this, in how data centers are being built and operated, the cooling medium air, and we exchanged it with another medium, which is much more efficient, and that's liquid. And this is the main change we bring to data centers. So we change one element, air, and we exchange it for liquid. And changing this one liquid is changing everything, the way we build and design data centers and how we operate them. But mostly, and that's I think the topic of today, it's opening up the door of sustainability, and not just a little bit, but wide open. And that's delivering a huge opportunity to build true sustainable data centers. So how do we do that? We use dielectric liquid, mineral oil, which is affordable and available anywhere in the world. And we use this to fully immerse hardware servers into this liquid. As you can see clearly on this picture, well, you don't see it clearly, but those are servers and they're fully immersed into this dielectric liquid. And this is how we cool the system, simply said. So it's replacing air, which is normally airflow going through the servers. We fully immerse all the components from the power supply up to the motherboard and the chips and the GPUs, the graphical cards, into this liquid. And we do this with a good reason. So the liquid is capturing the heat much more efficiently from the chips. Basically, the chips are generating the heat, and also it's transporting that much more efficiently, also on longer distances. And this is one of the key elements of towards energy producing data centers, which I will cover on later on actually. So the fact that it's taking the heat very quickly and efficiently from those chips to other places outside of the system, outside of the data center, is a huge opportunity. The main solution we launched after those 2 years of development is the AIC24. Other people describe it as a data center in a box, which I think is a great description. And that's the element you see on the left side. It's our main solution. You cannot see the sizing very well on this picture, but it's basically the same floor space as a normal air-chilled rack, but only half height. And there are a few interesting elements of this solution. One of them is that there are no moving parts in the whole solution, meaning there's no energy being wasted by, for example, ventilators, which is, I think, already a significant change into how we run data centers. So no ventilators are inside this system. There's also no pumps in this in the system to circulate the liquid at all. And also, very interesting bit is that we can run with something what we like to call free cooling. So we're flexible with water chilled temperatures actually going into the system, and we are able to bring out very high temperatures of the water going out of the system. Standard, we deliver 50 degrees hot water basically out of the system, and internally we have been experimenting already with higher temperatures. So this is one of the end products of the system, hot water. Another unique element of the system, as I highlighted, is that we can circulate the liquid without any pumps. And this is a big change in comparison with other liquid-based data center technologies. We make use of what we call natural convection to circulate the oil inside this data center in a box. So very simply said, the chips are heating up when we start the IT performance. It's heating up the mineral oil, and the hot oil is going to the surface and is being chilled down again with water chilled heat exchangers on each side of the system. And the chilled oil is going back to the bottom again, where it's being used to transport the heat from the chips again to the surface. And this is what we call natural convection. The circulation is running without any pumps or any active mechanisms to use the circulation. So if we're going to push the performance of the IT, the circulation will be more efficiently, more strong. Do we switch off the system at all? Then there's no circulation at all. So the IT is basically running the circulation of the solution itself. And as I said, we do this without compromise. So in our eyes, data centers should be like clean rooms, but running on clean tech. And that's the bit we bring in. But farther on, it's as clean as a normal data center. Any parts you need to service are above the liquid. And we make sure that we contain everything in this main solution. So to be clear, we can run this data center in a box just with 3 connections: water, power, and connectivity data. And that's it. So we contain every bit in the solution itself. And with this solution, we can facilitate a high demand of IT performance. In a redundant setup, we can facilitate 22 kilowatts. That's our standard setup. But for example, for low redundancy applications, we offer up to 30 kilowatts of IT power in one data center in a box, one ASC24, which other people describe as basically a supercomputer in a box, because it's such a high density of IT power. It's replacing 12 standard air-chilled racks. As core of our solution and of the technology we brought on the market is sustainability, but to be more specific, it's circularity. So we have designed the solution in such a way that it's built up in a modular way. So we can service and repair parts. We do not have to repair the full system when there are defects. But also we have made agreements with all part suppliers and suppliers of the system and partners on their end-of-life treatment of the different components. going from the steel components to the electrical components, the oil, for example, the plastics. So every bit we work together with strategic partners and suppliers, and we discuss the topic of circularity with them, and with most of them we have agreements of their end-of-life treatment. So this is for us very important. It's already an integral part of the solution we push on the market. So circularity is not a nice to have, it's part of the core product. Next to that, there is of course the impact. So the impact of the ASA 24 of immersed computing in the broad sense is covering all layers of how we design data centers, how we operate them, how we build them, but also where we, for example, locate them. As you can see on the left side, there is a minimum use of materials already in the way we build data centers. Later on, I will show you a case where this is being illustrated actually perfectly. But also on the other side, then there is the energy picture. So we can run a data center with 50% of the energy footprint compared with an air-chilled data center. So this is a big impact, I would say, on how we see data centers as large energy consumers. We totally are able to turn it around, basically. So again, looking at the comparison with how we are on the left side, you see the traditional data center designed around air systems, and on the right side you can see the difference with how we design data centers for liquid or for immersed computing. So I pointed out already some of them, but of course there's the energy footprint, but there's also the way we design data centers. We do not need any raised floors anymore. We can build very simple data centers without all the elements you are used to see in a data center hall. But also we're able to run this anywhere where it's needed for high density purposes. So in average, maybe at the moment you see 1.5, 2 kilowatts per an air chilled rack in a standard data center. In our solution, we can bring up to 22 up to 30 kilowatts even, meaning that's 12 kilowatts per square meter. So compared with the situation we're used to, this is bringing a lot more IT performance on the same floor space, basically. So those are now all the elements which I covered earlier on sustainability and efficiency and flexibility. You see exactly those pillars of impact in how we design and operate data centers. But I think I would like to show you actually one of the cases. It's much more illustrative than just numbers, of course. So you see on this picture, actually in the slide after this one of the latest or the last deployment we did for a customer here in the Netherlands, in Eindhoven, which is basically the high-tech heart of the Netherlands. Companies like ASML are being based there. On this picture, you see the data center, how it basically was before we came in with our technology. So it was a 750 kilowatts air-chilled data center with traditional kinds of cooling on 1,400 square meters. And this is traditional and a normal average setup, I would say, in data centers which are running already for quite some time. So this is not a weird situation. So keep those two numbers in mind: 750 kilowatts air-chilled on 1,400 square meters, right? So then we came in with our technology. You see in our picture basically 2 rows of our systems, in total 10 of the AIC 24s. And with this data center hall, which has been specifically designed in line, or actually specifically for the technology we offer, you see there 10 of our systems, 2 rows. It's offering 300 kilowatts immersed computing facility. So that's 30 kilowatts per system in average, yeah, on less than 35 square meters. So comparing that to what they were used to with their air-chill system, if we would bring the same amount of, let's say, IT performance in the same floor space, normally they would use 500 square meters instead of 35 square meters. And you see on the left side, we still have room basically for, I think, 5 other systems. So that would be another 150 kilowatts of power. So it would be almost half a megawatts on 35 square meters instead of 500 square meters. So this is a big impact for them, how they design data centers and data halls for their customers. It's a big difference. And then also looking at the energy picture, so they only need less than 10% of the cooling capacity they would need normally in air chill system. So they use dry coolers for this data hall only. And the next step is that they will reuse the heat actually being generated by these systems. It's going to be reused by different neighbors in this neighborhood who have noticed that basically there's warm water being generated by this data center, and they're interested in using that. So in that case, there's no active cooling needed at all anymore. Also, coming back to the topic of simplicity, very clearly you can see here in between of the two rows of the ASC24s, the infrastructure we need, and that's the 3 connections. Yeah, so you see power on the top, you see data connectivity under the power systems, and then you see the water connections going in and going out to the systems. Further, it's just a bare concrete floor, a normal office ceiling, and that's it. So if we take out our systems, it's an empty hall, literally, and all the integrated technology is all part of the data center in a box solution as we're offering it. So it's a very minimal setup of the data center, requiring the minimal amount of materials and therefore footprint besides the energy footprint, right? So I like to show this case because it's so drastically different than what we're used to with data centers. It's very illustrative, I think. But even more, this is we have been talking now just about the technology as we're offering it and how it's being used as the core functionality to facilitate emerging technologies and in the same time offering green data centers. But from my opinion, looking at innovative technology, it's all about how you use it. If you're using the innovative technology for its full potential, basically. So this is a topic we are particularly very passionate about in the Aspiratus team. It's about the opportunities we see on a large scale to work with the technology as we're offering it. And then we come back in the topic of energy producing data centers. So if we use our technology, and I won't go too much in detail with it, also regarding time, but if we use our technology and we apply smart design of data centers based on our technology or other liquid-based data center technologies, we're basically able to turn a data center into a heat pump without using heat pumps. So we can raise the temperature of the hot water going out of data centers up to a very valuable temperature hot water. So standard, we can offer 50 degrees of hot water going out of our systems, but internally we have been testing already with higher temperatures up to 65 degrees even. This is still experimenting level, right? But this is something we are looking forward to implement actually in reality. So this is a usable source of energy, heat, and actually a looked after source of energy nowadays in the Nordics and Netherlands and other countries. So this is a very big opportunity to turn data centers into energy producing data centers. And this is something we're working on now. At the moment, we're working on multiple large scale projects, some of them even up to 100 megawatts of size, so really large scale, also in an international level. And in those projects, they integrated heat reuse actually as part of their core design. And this is interesting. So we can connect those large data centers directly with, for example, district heating infrastructure in cities. So thousands of households will be able to facilitate and supply heat coming out of those data centers. But even more interesting, we will be able to design data centers without any need for cooling energy at all anymore. So this is a huge difference compared with normal data centers, right? So this is the large-scale data centers. But as I said, we are able to deploy this technology anywhere where they're needed. So in existing data centers, in new data centers, but also normal buildings. And then looking into where the data center is heading to, it's basically two directions: large hyperscale data centers and edge data centers. Edge data centers are small setups of data centers close to the end user of cloud services and compute power. And we'll be able to do something differently. So we'll be able to build those edge data centers also close to the end user of heat. And on the left side, you see some examples of heat users, basically, and there are plenty of, just pointing out swimming pools, hotels, and urban farms. And those are users of heat, but also, for example, industry. An example many people bring to us is, for example, breweries. They use a lot of heat, and this is very interesting. So we offer this closed, contained data center in a box solution. We'll be able to deploy it anywhere, not only where compute power is needed, but also where the end user of heat is being located. And this is a concept we're very excited about. We see increasing demand and interest from energy companies, for example, for this kind of concepts. And at the moment, we're working on 5, 6 really concrete projects to bring this into reality. And one of those concepts is actually the full integration of an urban farm with our technology, a concept people have been talking about already for quite a while. And in my eyes, it's the smart synergy, the ultimate scenario. If we can use the energy not only once for data centers, but also for maybe even 2 other purposes, for growing vegetables and growing fishes basically within the system, and then turn this into a circular system with the cooled water. We can run the system again for the data center. And this is how it should be, a closed loop, energy-wise, at least from the heating and cooling perspective, and creating value not only once but multiple times with the same energy. And this is one example of the solutions we love to work on, and we see a lot of interest from different stakeholders internationally, basically. So yeah, I think this is a little bit the story of Asperitas. So we have been developing a very innovative technology. We receive a lot of recognition from, but a lot of excitement as well about what is possible now on a large scale regarding sustainable data centers. So thank you very much. I'm ready to answer any of your questions.
Hi, Michael. Thank you very much for this interesting presentation. Actually, I was very happy to see the work that Asperitas developed. And why I was very happy? Because usually people think that in order to make ICT sustainable, usually they focus mostly on the energy consumption. But the thing is, to make the sector sustainable, of course, energy consumption has a big role, but we should pay attention right from the beginning. And where the beginning starts from the raw material, from the moment that we extract the natural resources in order to produce our IT equipment. So I was very happy to see that you implementing this circular concept, that you work with your suppliers and partners to make all the value chain sustainable. And if you need to improve something, you don't have to replace the whole data center. You can only replace just a piece or a part of it, and these also increase the sustainability levels of the IT. And one thing that I would like to confirm with you is that you also apply this concept to your clients, because if I understood well, you said that the immersed computing technology can be implemented not only in brand new data centers built from scratch, but also on data centers that already exist. Am I right?
Yeah, that is actually correct. So we work on both kind of projects, both brownfield and greenfield, as they like to call it. So the case I just showed you, I think, is a great example. It's an existing data center, but basically there was a very strong demand for one of their customers to run high density IT applications, and therefore they had a challenge in building this new facility for the specific customers. And so that's right. So in that case, an existing data center expanded their facility with an extra data hall based on our technology. So we do both. We can also implement our main solution, the ASC24, on an existing data center floor, on a normal data center room. But the biggest impact, of course, we have when we are involved in the greenfield projects, because then we can really look into the design of a data center and make use of the full potential, of course. Yeah.
That's very nice, very interesting. Congratulations for the work you've been developing so far, Michael. I think we have a question from one of our attendees, and I think we only have time to reply to this question, then we'll pass the floor to Daniel. So the question is, what is the necessary investment and TCO of an immersed data center compared to an old style one?
Yeah, so I think that's a very relevant question. I've been working on the topic of sustainability in data centers and innovation for quite some years now, and as I said in the presentation, usually there are always some compromises. So it's or on the usability aspects or on the financial aspects. And honestly, one of the reasons I was very excited to join the Aspiratus team last year actually is because there's also no compromise on the financial aspects. Actually, the impact on both the capex and the operational costs is significant. Of course, depending on the location of the data center and how they're designing it and running it, of course. But to give you an example, as I told you, so there are 50% energy reduction on the data center footprint. But the case I showed you, for example, took only 10% of their of the investment compared with what they would need normally in an air-chilled design data center, to what they were used to. So that's a reduction of 90% on the capex side. So this is a significant change, I would say. And since we launched our solution, there are other elements we receive as a feedback from our customers as well. And one of them we received recently, for example, was one which we had less clear in mind when we launched the solution. For example, from one of our customers, they told us that they're estimated on their cost side 15% less maintenance need, which is quite significant on an annual basis for a professional data center of large scale. To have 15% less maintenance, it's really relevant. So there are different layers of data centers and how they're being operated, and the financial case of them where we have positive impact on. Yeah.
Okay, I see. Thank you very much, Michael. If any other people who are attending this webinar, if you have further questions, you have Michael's contact email on the screen, so feel free to contact him, and Michael will happily reply to your questions. Now, it's time to pass the floor to our next speaker. His name is Daniel Frohnmeyer. He's a project manager at START2ACT project and also a project manager at Geonard Environmental Technologies company. And Geonardo, it's an innovation and technology company active in the energy, environment, and sustainable development fields. They have a strong background in environmental management, and Daniel has been studying the behavior of people towards the sustainable treatment of our resources. For the moment, he's coordinating the START2ACT project, which we introduced, and this project provides support and monitors instruments to young SMEs and startups to consider sustainable energy in their daily operations. The presentation title is, as you can read on the screen, is Engaging Businesses in Sustainable Energy, the Human Factor. Daniel, you can start your presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rita, for this introduction. A short question, can you hear me?
We can hear you. Thank you for double checking, always important.
Everything good. Okay, thank you very much for the introduction, and then also for having me today at this webinar. That's very interesting for us, and I'm excited to share with you and with the listeners here something about this START2ACT project and exactly the human behavior or the human factor in engaging our businesses all over Europe and the world in sustainable energy. Now we heard a lot about the technology side, and we are going to look a little bit into the human factor, the human side of this. Let me share quickly the agenda. I would like to go into the background into what's the relevance, what's the significance of the people in energy efficiency and their decisions. Then I would like to introduce the START2ACT project and purpose and the methods a little bit, and have for you two example activities of how businesses can decrease their energy consumption for ICT, but also for the office equipment, what they're using with the force and with the power of their workforce and the people, the staff they are at the businesses. I would like to go after this to the START2ACT activities to present the portfolio to you and conclude the presentation with this. For the background, as you all know, ICT, and as you read perhaps when you entered this webinar also, ICT has a huge share on the global electricity usage, and we see here on the left side a diagram which shows that a projection until 2030 that for the worst case of these 3 case scenarios that this author here did in this scientific presentation, that it might be the half of the global electricity usage might be used by ICT, and these numbers are alarming. If it goes like expected, then it would be 21, so 1/5 of the global electricity usage, and that is also already really a lot. Other authors from a publication, they signal that there's an ICT technology challenge. Our ICT is, sector and systems, they are getting more and more complex, and we need to achieve a more transparency between the different levels, how they communicate, how they logically interact with each other to be able to design for more energy efficient operation. Yes, and what can we say? Until this is not totally reached, people still who are operating these ICT tools, they still are an integral part of the system. And not only the producers, but also the users. So actually both groups of people working in these. And this small figure shows basically only if there's a high level of operation from the user, but also high level quality working at the ICT system, there can be a successful interaction. And just some examples why this is very important, this kind of interaction is, there is always an internal communication between our teams and an external communication between customers. There might be also the reaction to regulations. Let's just imagine the GDPR regulations, which came in May 2018. That's where people need to react, and an ICT system cannot react there as quick as people, but we need to do it. We need to also to control and validate the data that we are inputting. And still in the end, this old saying holds true that a machine is only as efficient as its operator, even though it's getting less true by all these smart tools. There's a complex interaction between drivers when we in a company or at your company, we want to introduce projects on environmental efficiency or energy efficiency. We need to deal with policy, which comes from externally, but also internal, our policies. We need to deal with the technology that we provide for our daily operation. And then the behavior of all our workforce, of the staff members, is also very important. And if we have a good interaction between those 3 drivers, we really can reap the benefits of what environmental efficiency brings to our company. First, we talk about here, and it's also the title of the ICT Footprint project, reduce the carbon footprint. We can optimize the resource of the business. It's a marketing tool. We can advance the competition on the market because users and customers, they will demand in the future more transparency on sustainability, and we can save also costs for our business. Yeah, START2ACT. This is a European funded project under the Horizon 2020 framework program. Our mission is to increase the energy efficiency on ICT and office equipment in young SMEs and startups. So why are we doing this? Because scientific background scholars, they found out on different studies that it is possible only by behavior change measures to save 20% of the of the current consumption on energy, which is already a really high share. And we are focusing on ICT and office equipment because this is the fastest growing energy user. And we have seen before in this diagram how fast it can grow. We are focusing on the young SMEs and on the startup because this is the youngest sector on the European market and on the global market. And at the same time, they are our backbone of this ecosystem. At the same time, they are lacking simple rules or devices for saving energy. So there's still a huge need to do something. And our methods in these 3-year projects are basically that we actively support SMEs and startups in 9 European countries, the countries that you can see on the left-hand side in green. We are doing this in short with on-site consultancy and mentoring programs where we visit them personally, but we are also providing some online resources, and I'm going to explain these later on in more detail. We will also have, or we are having in place, a monitoring scheme that is administered to the participants at our on-site trainings, and this information, the feedback from these surveys, they will help us improve the activities, but also put forward relevant findings. Later on in the presentation, I will always show some of these results just to back up some research findings again. So the first activity, which I think can now be very, very interesting for the listeners here of this webinar, when a business wants to bring forward environmental projects or want to reduce the energy consumption in their business, in their company, mostly this can be done, and we advise to do this by stimulating norms in a company. And we can see this green sentence here: to declare the corporate commitment to save energy or to have environmental efficiency included. And yeah, it could look like this energy statement here on the left side. This is just an example, you don't have to read it through. But the content of those corporate commitments, they should mostly contain some objectives and goals, how we would like to reach our targets. We can put quantitative targets and when we would like to reach them. It is also the place where we share our ambitions on corporate agreements. These are, for example, climate change or biodiversity strategies that a business might have, or some standards like the ISO or EMAS statements or standards from the European Commission. And also very important, this agreement shall contain how it will support employees with this strategy, and on the other way around, how employees can also support this strategy to bring the company forward. Also very important is the format of this statement, because this might be an important tool. We can decide whether this is published internally, just in the intranet or to our co-workers, or if we publish this externally, this might actually be a very valuable and powerful marketing tool. After the presentation, you can click on this link and you will find this available here. You can, as promised before, I would like to present you some results which are confirming the relevance of these stimulating norms and that we have corporate norms. Just as a quick explanation, there's the rating in the table. The rating goes always from 1, strongly disagree, to 5, strongly agree with the question that was posed in this questionnaire, in our START2ACT monitoring questionnaire. So regarding the personal attitudes, there's a rather strong agreement that people already consider it important to help their company to conserve energy. When asked if the company norm is to switch off equipment when not in use, this is as an example as a company norm, there was also an agreement, but however not that strong as before. So people are aware and they like to introduce these norms. On the company attitudes, we see a similar picture that for many companies, it's already the norm or the priority in their company to save energy, but still we can see that there is a lot of space to improve. Also, people have the awareness that they and their colleagues, they can really contribute to the energy saving of their company, so they have an influence in the company. And here we can see already that the community aspect gets important, and I want to highlight a little bit more on this with the second activity, how to involve employees. And this especially can be interesting now for managers or team leaders of a business, because this is kind of a pathway for a campaign how to involve employees in a project that deals with environmental efficiency or sustainability. So first step, we would need to begin with the research about our company needs and abilities. How can we identify those actions? What need to be done? And we provide some support in our START2ACT online resources to this as well. When we identify the actions, what to do on a project on environmental basis, we need to be careful that we do this in the right timing, the delivery, that we direct or address the correct audience, but with also the correct message. And after we have done this, we delivered our actions, then we're going to monitor this, whether the staff actually, whether they have improved, whether they raised their awareness, and we give the feedback, we share this with them, and also we hear the feedback from our colleagues. So this can be an efficient campaign on all kinds of environmental projects. Again, here, this is important from the point of view from our survey results that we received from our participating SMEs and startups. Apparently, people find it very important to share with their colleagues, but also with their friends, to behave in an environmentally friendly way. So to do this together, not separated. So this is again the community perspective. And then at the other two questions we had before, but I'm showing them again, it is important and people see the relevance and the significance that they also have an influence on actually helping their company to behave or to decrease the energy, do this alone, but also do this with their colleagues. So they have already the awareness, and that's where it is important to even get more involved. And there is some scientific evidence also that not only the economic reasons might weigh, but also the environmental, social, and justice reasons. If a person is going to decide whether they act for a project in your business, and not only the economic reasons might be important, and this is basically because if a person acts pro-environmentally, this person will also perceive her or himself as eco-friendly or pro-environmentally, and this signals the feeling that I am a good person, and of course I'm a good person, I'm doing good things, I want to reinforce this, and there's coming a reinforcing cycle, and that's why people are going, that's why there's this importance that also the environmental reasons may weigh more. Yes, these were just two of the activities that we are presenting to our customers in the START2ACT project, but there's of course more on it. And in the next 3 slides, I would like to present you the portfolio, the full portfolio of our START2ACT project, because if you are interested in one of those, you're welcome to contact me or to screen our START2ACT webpage. I will give you these the links later on. So as said before, we have the on-site support to young SMEs and startups. We do this in training for energy efficiency to young SMEs, and in the form of a novel mentoring to startups at incubator and accelerators to startups. We had the business breakfasts for young SMEs. They are mostly over in most of the countries. On the START2ACT online presence, we have 4 distinct tools, and the first here would be the e-learning. That is a tool which, in an entertaining but also very interactive way, shares a lot of ideas and a lot of advice on how to advance the energy efficiency in your company. We had this very social activity, which is the START2ACT Challenge, where we had 4 seasons of challenging. Basically, these were run on social networks, and here I show some impressions of people and small companies, what their ideas were on energy efficiency in their company. So also to stimulate this community effect. We have also the START2ACT forum, where interested people can discuss with the community about different topics on energy efficiency, and also ask our consortium partners in the personalized advice. Last but not least, we have this powerful tool which is called the knowledge base, that presents detailed advice on different tools, but also external tools and references that were established before. Basically, and this is always tailored to SMEs and to startups, so there will be a decision tree, and the output will be a very much tailored information for the needs of the users. Yeah, I would like to wrap up and conclude this message here. Basically, in the beginning, we saw that technology, even though there's very good and wonderful technology rising up, as we heard, for example, from Michael, this might be not enough to achieve an efficient ICT sector and efficient and sustainable future. But people, they have the brains, and they also need to invest, and they need to act to decide for the sustainable energy. And of course, we saw also that there might be a multitude of benefits that are coming out if we are using our resources efficiently. Then we had furthermore these 2 examples of how we can actually bring our business and involve our users and all our stuff into these activities. That corporate norms is a very, very important tool which gives a frame for our business, and on the other hand, it gives also a very, very powerful marketing tool on the competitive market. On the other hand, we need to include all the people in our business, because only then we can receive such a win-win situation where both the employer and the employee, meaning the business and also the people personally, they can benefit from this development. I have some references for you here, and thank you for your attention. If you have any question, I'm happy to answer this.
Hi, Daniel. Thank you very much for your presentation. Indeed, it was very interesting. The thing is, to make ICT sector sustainable, it's not just about the equipment, as you mentioned. Also, the people have a very important role in order to achieve this goal. So we are running out of time. So I only have time for 1 question from our attendees. For the others that would like to make questions, you have Daniel's contact on the screen, so feel free to contact him, and he will happily reply to your comments. So Daniel, we have a question from an attendee, and his question is: I am surprised by the figures projection about ICT energy consumption compared to the GSI Smart 2030 scenario, which are way more optimistic than yours. How did you calculate this ICT energy consumption by 2030? For those who are not familiar, the GSI is the Global E-Sustainability Initiative, and they focus a lot on this topic. Daniel, would like to? Well, I'll pass you the floor to reply, or you can provide the information later on.
Yes, thank you very much. Actually, that's what I'm also going to do, provide information later on. But first, because I also would like to explain, because that's not from our calculation, this screen, I put it here on the screen again, but that's from a paper that was cited a couple of times or recently, and that's from a person from the business Huawei, who calculated in 3 different scenarios this energy consumption of ICT in until 2030, And because this was cited in the literature many times, I also took this. I was at this stage, I was not aware of the tool that you mentioned. But here's also the expected scenario would just be 1/5 of the energy consumption, but the worst case would be that high. Because also I wrote here another paragraph here, the middle paragraph, which states that the selling numbers, so the numbers of owners of these ICT devices is also growing significantly, and probably that's why there are a lot of assumption behind these scenarios, and that's why they came to these high values as well. But I would like to share with you, with the person posing this question, this paper where I have this source from.
Yeah, that would be very kind of you, Daniel. Actually, the attendee just thank you for answer, but I advise the person who made the question, he would like to access this paper. You just need to send an email to Daniel and he will happily provide you with the documents. So we are already for 1 hour, so we will finish this. We'll finish the webinar now, and so I would like to thank all of you who attended the ICT Footprint.eu webinar. Thank you for spending this hour with us. So as a last slide, a reminder, if you want to engage with us and you are interested in ICT sustainability, energy efficiency, you have many ways to join us. You can subscribe our newsletter. We are very active on social media, Twitter and LinkedIn. You can attend our future webinars, and the next one is expected to take place after the summer break. And if you want to contact us to join us in Paris, and for more information, visit www.ICTFOOTPRINT.eu. I'd like to thank you, our speakers, for their time and for sharing their knowledge with us. For the attendees who joined us, thank you very much. And for those who are still enjoyed their summer holidays, I wish you good holidays and a good return after it. Thank you very much and see you soon.